Hey guys, JC Smith here. I had a little bit of time this evening. I wanted to do an actual video on the F250. This is the truck I did the very first video, like slideshow, the conversion. I owned this truck years and years ago, and I drove for a long time. My brother wanted a truck and he didn't have one, and I had bought another truck, so he took this truck from me. And when he did, when I had it originally, it was an F250. It was two-wheel drive, single rear-wheeled XL interior. And what that means in Ford, and I'll show you what this is. This is all the original badging here. You can see it says XL Super Duty to F250. What that means in Ford is you have manual locks, manual windows. Let's see, this had a cloth seat, vinyl floors, cloth bench seat, that is, AM/FM radio, no CD, no trailer brake controller, no upfit switches, no cruise control, no tilt wheel, just your basic work truck, bare bones. So he drove for a few years, and I had bought my wife a 2013 or 14, I don't recall, F250 extended cab short bed four-wheel drive. And we went all the way to Texas to get it, and after having it for 9 months, my wife drove it twice. So my brother looked at it and he wanted it. So he took that, and I wanted this back. So I got this back the way it was. And by that time it needed all new ball joints in the front, they were bad. It needed a rear pinion seal, and the standard F250 single rear-wheeled bed was rusted away like most Super Duties are around here. So I took the truck, and I had some parts laying around. And the reason I originally got rid of the truck was the fact that, originally I let my brother get it, was it was a single rear-wheel truck. I do a lot of towing. I tow a lot of goosenecks, I tow a lot of fifth wheels, and I don't like a single rear-wheel truck at all. Period, for towing. I know there's a lot of guys out there tow their big fifth wheel campers and their big gooseneck trailers with a single rear wheel truck. It's not for me. I don't like it. I do a lot of highway driving and a lot of miles towing, and I like having a dually. I think it feels better, it feels safer, it's more secure, it grabs the road, it's better in the curves. I just like it. So for those of you guys out there that like your single rear wheel, that's great. It's great for you, but it's not for me. So anyways, so I went to work on this truck. I gathered up a lot of parts. It took me, I think I gathered parts off of several different truck projects I had. So I took the first thing I did was do the rear axle swap. And I had some axles out of a 2007 f350 with a 6.0 diesel. The 6.0 was obviously bad. That's what I got the truck for parts. And I redid the rear axle. I put all new bearings, I put all new seals, rotors, synthetic fluid, the brake calipers, hoses, the outer bearings, I can't think what else, the brake hose, I think I've been through all that. Okay, so I did all that, and then the next thing I did was come to the front, where I took the two-wheel drive suspension out, and when you do that, you have to change your brackets. The bracket for the steering damper is different. The bracket, you have to put the bracket in for the track bar. You have to change out the coil spring buckets. The brake hoses are different. The brake lines are different. And then I also rebuilt this front axle. So this front axle got all 6 seals on the axle tube plus the pinion. So 7 seals, every axle joint, new synthetic fluid, new rotors, new calipers, new brake pads, new hoses, new shocks, steering dampener, track bar, coil spring buckets, and I can't remember what else. So then I went on to make it four-wheel drive. So then I pulled the adapter. If you watched the last video I showed you about the 5R110, this truck has a 5R110. It had that adapter on the back, the collar, on the back of the transmission. So I unbolted that. The adapter for the transfer case was already there. So I did that, and I bolted the transfer case up, and then I took my measurement for the rear drive shaft because I didn't have one. None of my donor trucks had that. So I had the original drive shaft cut down twice. So because there was a carrier bearing in the middle, that part was fine, and the slip yoke was good. Where it went back to the differential, because it's a 1-ton differential. It's a I believe it's Dana 60, I want to say. Anyways, the pinion is farther forward by 1 inch, and it made the slip yoke too tight. You wouldn't think it would, but it was. It was bottomed out. So I had the back one cut, re-welded, all new U-joints, carrier bearing, and then the front one was cut also because I had to be shortened when we put the transfer case behind the transmission. So that one got cut, and I got cut, shortened, balanced the whole unit. So, and I had the front one done at the same time. So the front drive shaft from the transfer case to the front differential got all new U-joints and the knuckle joint and balanced. And then after that, the transfer case was in. So once I had the transfer case in, I went ahead and I replaced the electric shift motor on transmission, or I'm sorry, on the transfer case, because those are known to go bad. So I replaced that. So after I got all that done, it was on to the interior. Like I said, this truck was an XL. I do not like a work truck chassis if I'm going to travel. I like cruise control. It had air conditioning and it worked well, but it didn't have power windows, power locks, no tilt wheel, all that kind of stuff, and it had manual mirrors. The manual mirrors I don't really care so much about. I do like a heated mirror. That's pretty nice in the winter. Let me get this buzzer out. Okay, so what I end up doing in here is I pulled the whole entire interior out down to the bare sheet metal. I mean, I was down to the floor. We took every single thing out of this and went down to bare metal, even on the headliner. So the headliner was down to nothing, and I had to change out every single piece of wiring harness in this whole entire cab. And I thought I was done. I had to bring it into here because my old one didn't have this connector. It had just a rubber boot with a boot, like a grommet that went into that hole. Well, this one has the power windows, power locks, and the power mirrors. So all that got changed. Now the truck has what's called a lariat interior. This is all leather, and the seats, both seats are power, and they're heated. And you have steering wheel controls for the stereo and the cruise control and all that stuff. And then it has that CD player is a DVD. The screen actually comes out this way and flips up. I'm not big on the radio when I'm driving. I usually drive with it off, but it was in the truck, so I went ahead and used it. And then it has the climate control. This is, if you're familiar with Super Duties, it's typically 3 knobs across here. This is the climate control. That caused me a little bit of grief because that climate control works with a completely different heater box and a completely different rheostat. The rheostat is not just one simple 1, 2, 3 speeds. Now this climate control has a variable speed, so infinite number of speed settings. Okay, so I had to take that whole entire wiring, the heater box out, and then I realized that the other truck didn't have cruise control, so I needed the wiring harness from the brake switch, because there's a second brake switch on the bottom of the master cylinder. On the bottom of the master cylinder, that is the secondary cutout for the cruise control, so that had to be changed. That was kind of a surprise, but you know, as you can see, let's see if I can back up here. It turned out well. It's a great truck. It's a really nice truck, and I don't have much money in this truck at all because the majority of these parts I had. The bed I took off my 2000, I think it was a 14 f450, which if you're familiar with Super Duties, this style of fender started in 2011. So I got those, and you'll notice here, this is a newer style because it has a hole for the DEF. Ooh, that's dirty. I guess I didn't pressure wash in there. Anyways, so we put that bed on it. As far as the wheels and tires, these are just a set of stock steel wheels I had, and I'm probably just going to put simulators over them because I really don't like aluminum wheels, expensive aluminum wheels for the wintertime. So I'm probably just going to put a new set of tires on here. I have a really nice set of Kelly Safaris, and they're an all-terrain tire, and they're pretty aggressive. And I have property in Pennsylvania that is on a private road, and it is, I think it's about a mile of private road. And when I mean private road, I mean like shale and mud. So it's pretty, you need a four-wheel drive to get in there. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It's not easy. Anyways, and also in the truck we ended up with the upfitter switches. This was in the donor truck. If you're not familiar, this saves you from making a lot of extra connections and wiring and switches and stuff. It's already done for you, and then there's wires underneath the hood that you can hook up to. This is kind of a neat feature if you like to open the back window. This is a rear slider. I know it's getting dark on us, so I'm going to hurry. But this back window slides open. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, the back seat's all leather. The carpet's in really nice shape. I'm sorry it's all dirty, but it's kind of muddy where we're at working right now. And I'm in and out of this thing a lot. Even the seats are still in nice shape. One of the things I didn't plan for and I didn't realize was the Lariat interior required I used this cluster. That kind of stinks because this truck only had 104,000 miles on it, and when I changed the interior over and I had to use that cluster, now I have considerably more miles, and I didn't like that at all. That kind of bugged me. I almost didn't do the conversion because of that cluster, because I just didn't like it. But anyways, yeah, it turned out well. Yeah, here it is. This is like Memorial Day weekend, and look, I still carry an ice scraper because, I live in Ohio. Cripe, it could snow. Well, shoot, it's already getting cold. I don't think it'll snow tonight, but to give you an idea, when we were down at Jonathan W's, it was Saturday we got there, it was 92 degrees when we rolled in North Carolina. Saturday, I think it hit 86, maybe, is that right? And Monday, it was 89, 87, something like that, I can't recall. And we came back, I got in about midnight Monday, and Tuesday I come back out to the garage to do some work, and I had a hoodie on, a hoodie sweatshirt, because it was, we were coming back to, well, that night it was 49 degrees. When we rolled in the driveway, it was 49 degrees. And the following morning, when we first got up, I think it was somewhere around 59 that morning. And by the heat of the day, I think we got all the way up to 62 for about an hour. But anyhow, so the truck turned out well, and I just want to do a video of it because it's really been, it was well worth the effort. And if you're thinking about doing it, great trucks are built, not bought. This thing suits my needs. I don't have a lot of money in it. I did have to buy some things. Oh, that's another thing. When I had this changed over, just like in the 2013 f450, the cruise control, the ECM that runs the engine this did not have cruise control programmed. So I had a guy we've used quite a bit, reprogram this to turn it on, and that's the only thing I had to do. The keyless entry works, everything else works like it's supposed to, but that was the one thing we had to do. And I kind of figured I might need to do that, but I wasn't sure, but I tried it, and we did. But, this truck used to be glass headlights, just a single glass, and the black grille. And I had a truck that had some good headlights and a chrome grille, and I was going to get rid of it. And when I sold it to the guy, I was changing them out, and I told him it's going to have these glass headlights that were in this truck. And I never would have believed it. And the guy said, "Oh, good, because I don't like chrome grille and I don't like those lights." And I was like, "Wow, perfect." So anyhow, so that's how we got that. But that's the old truck. I think since the conversion, I put about probably 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it. It does well, but now we're kind of considering going with a little more power. I have options of, I have a V10 for this truck out of an 07 that I'm considering putting in, or I may go the other way, and I might just go with a Cummins, because if I put a Cummins in this, I would probably run this truck until it rusted in on itself, which in Ohio that could be, in the next year or so. That's unfortunate, but yeah, it suits me. One thing I'll note too is, I was just thinking about how I get in this. It's pretty tall for me. It really needs Nerf bars. I'm kind of a short guy. I'm only 5'9" or something like that. Anyways, when I did this conversion, you can see it sits fairly level. and I don't know if this is going to show up well, but when it's sitting on concrete, it sits nice and level. That fuel tank's kind of heavy, so it might look like it's sitting down a little bit. But anyways, I use 6-liter diesel 4-wheel drive springs in the front, and it's firm. It's not rough, but it's firm. And I'll tell you this: when you put a heavy trailer on that, it rides nice. It rides better than my 4500s with air ride. That's for sure. But anyhow, so that's the truck. I'm gonna get off here for now. This is all I got, but I had a few minutes and I want to kind of do an update. It's nothing special. It's just a cheap old truck, basic old truck, but it's paid for. I don't know anything on it like every other one of my trucks, and I think that's what I like about them most. I don't like payments. I haven't had a payment in, geez, this is 2017, so it's been well over 12 years since I've had a payment on anything. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lifestyle. It changes your way of thinking. It changes everything. Once you get to a point where you realize that you don't need to chase the dollar and pay interest, your life changes. You have more money, your money goes farther. And I don't want to get into all that because everybody does things differently for different reasons, but it works for us. And like I said, I like the truck, I think it's going to be around for a while. And if I do a come and swap, I'll bring you guys along. I'm really kind of considering it, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's all I got for now. So we'll check with you later. See you on the next one.